Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I am so happy to be here. If you are listening live, it is the 28th of January already, 2020 at 11 a.m. Pacific time. If you're listening to an archive or a replay, of course, I want to welcome you to the show. As always, we are over in the chat room. You can find us by heading over to 12radio.com. That's number 2 radio.com. Click on the chat button and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. Easy enough to find. And of course, you will see me chatting there along with others. And that's what's happening. You'll see my banner at the top of the page. I am also live streaming this event from the chat room. So if you would rather watch than listen, you're welcome to do that. If you're listening to an archive or a podcast of this event, you can also listen by heading over to, or watch, sorry, by heading over to YouTube and looking for Domestic Mystic on YouTube. A little ways after the show, a little time after, you'll find this show uploaded there. So you can watch that way as well. Lots of fun stuff happening. I have a ton to share with you guys today. I mentioned this last week, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that my archives are now podcasted, and you can find them a myriad of ways. You can find them on iTunes, always under the Katie Weaver Show. That's how to look for it, the Katie Weaver Show. So you can find it on iTunes and Overcast that way. You can find it on Pocket Cast. You can find it on Google Podcasts. You can find it on Spotify, on Stitcher, and on TuneIn. And at some point, hopefully on Pandora. But the way you find it, if you're using a device, all you have to do is ask. So like on my Alexa products, all I have to do is say, Alexa, play the Katie Weaver Show on Spotify, and it comes right up. So anyway, that's kind of fun. So always you'll find my shows archived there, and occasionally a little extra too if we have done some kind of a meditation or something else that I, want to share there. So wanted to let you guys know that's another way you can listen and connect. So pretty fun. I have a ton of radio happening this week, and I want to make sure that you guys hear all about it. It's almost too much radio. It's not. It's fine. It's a lot. Of course, I had 1-2 News yesterday, and our guest was Christine Dumaurier, which was so much fun. I adore Christine. We are longtime friends, and it was fun to be able to share the air with her. So if you haven't listened to that show, I would highly recommend that you find the archive or the replay. But of course, you have me, the Katie Weaver Show, today. Tomorrow, I have a really special show, and it is something that I put together and pulled some of my colleagues from 1-2 Listen out to do with me. I was thinking about play and how, for me, divination and using divination tools is a form of spiritual play, and I wanted to share that with you guys. I also know, because I have heard some brilliant things on the radio before from colleagues doing some really cool stuff with divination that I did, might not have known anything about. And so I put together this show. We are going to air right after Christine's show. So Christine airs at 9 a.m. Pacific on Wednesdays here on 1-2 Radio. Right after that, we are going to air a 2-hour divination panel and special. So Chris Ann Morgan and Caroline Nettle will be my co-panelists. We are going to discuss divination at length. We are each coming to you with a skill to teach you. Something that we do, something that we love, we're bringing it to you, which I'm loving this. I can't wait to hear what they are doing. I know that they're both teaching a yes-no system. Caroline is using a coin, and Chris Ann is using tarot cards. I'm going to teach you a skill with pendulums. I love pendulums. I think they're a ton of fun. So I'm going to teach you the basics of using one and then how to use a pendulum to look for lost items. So we'll do all of those things. And then in the second half of the show, part of that show at least, we'll be doing readings from the chat room with our divination skills and other things, I'm sure. So I really hope you guys can join us tomorrow. So again, that begins at 10 a.m. Pacific, right here on 1-2 Radio for 2 hours. And then Kai has The Long Road with Kai Greenway comes up directly after that show. And coincidentally, I am a guest on her show. So 3 hours on Wednesday for me on a day I'm never on 1-2 Radio. But anyway, I'm excited. It's going to be fun. Kai and I are talking about dreaming, how to put dreams into action, and all things dreams. So I'm way excited about doing that with her, talking about taking dreams from a dream state into fruition. So that's going to be a great show. And then on Thursday, Strange Phenomena and Mysteries is moving into our brand new time slot. So on Thursdays, we will now be airing, so no more Fridays for us. We will be every other Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific. So I'm actually super, super excited about that one as well. As you guys probably know, I joined SPAM, the Strange Phenomena and Mysteries team, the Sisters in Strangeness, at the end of last year. So I'm way excited for that as well. This should be a super fun show. So that is what's going on. We have a lot happening. Okay, Sid, I want to address your question. She said, has Unchurch been on hiatus the past few weeks? It has. I've been out of town on Sundays quite a little too much lately, as well as having a sick dog who's doing much, much better. We'll talk about that. So Unchurch is coming back this week. So Unchurch is a 20-minute broadcast I do via Facebook Live and YouTube Live on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific. Just a 20-minute boost to your day, a little bit of spiritual upliftment to get going. So thank you, Sid, for asking. Yes, it is coming back. So fun stuff. I'm seeing lots of questions pop up in the chat room, and I'm glad to see them. We are definitely going to have some time to do some readings from the chat today. So throw them at me. I have some plans for you and me. Some of you are saying that the energy is really wonky this week. Weird, right? It is. It kind of seemed to come in with the new moon. And some of you have had some pretty profound root chakra shifts that have left you feeling really, really weird. And if that's the case, talk to me and we'll work on it, because that's a terrible feeling. But a lot of people are just feeling kind of prickly and noticing people around them being pretty prickly and defensive. That's a pretty normal thing right now. And so if you're feeling that way, or if you're noticing that in others, you are most certainly not alone. That's kind of a thing this week. Though I do hope it starts to get better here within the next couple of days. It is also a really creative energy. And so my advice to you, if you're feeling uncomfortable right now, is that you find a way to harness this energy into creative endeavors. How? Well, by diving in and working on some things that either you've been wanting to work on or something totally new. I have been known, when I felt really uncomfortable like this, to literally wander the craft store, scroll through Pinterest, just find something to try, right? Because it's never about the end product. You don't have to make something that looks like the magazine, right? Absolutely not. All you have to do is create. Maybe this is cooking, maybe it's sewing, maybe it's painting, maybe it's rearranging, or it's decorating, or it's digital work, or it's scrapbooking, or it's magic, or, I'm not going to pigeonhole you by throwing out too many ideas that aren't yours, right? But something creative would be a good thing to do this week. Harness this energy. It is uncomfortable. It is prickly. So rather than flee from it, let's try to use it. All the while, of course, practicing some super good self-care, because who wants to feel like crap, right? This is a week that you want to eat well. You might want to avoid chaos if it's too much for you. I noticed yesterday noise got to be way too much in this house. Skippy, my little Skippy boy, my little Chihuahua that's been so sick, is feeling much, much better, but his medicine has created a bit of a monster in him when he wants something. And so he will sit at my feet and shriek and cry like he's being murdered if he wants held, if he wants fed, if he wants anything. So I finally ordered a purse, a doggy purse, that it's like a crossbody bag that he can hang out in. And that works really well. I've done a lot of things with him in that this week. I've poured resin, I've done laundry, I've cooked dinner, I've written, I've done lots of things, just packing him around in the little doggy purse. And he's really happy in that most of the time. And it is getting better, I will say that. But, he's adjusting to some pretty serious meds that have messed with his psyche. But last night, there was music playing on the Echo in the kitchen. Skippy was yelling at my feet while I was trying to get his dinner ready, and we just hit critical mass. And Scott kind of, I can't take it, and I kind of went, I can't take it, and Mars went, I can't take it. So we had to turn off the Echo. I had to put Skippy in the purse. We just had to bring the chaos and noise level down in here, and then we were good. But you may find that this week, that too much noise, just too much overstimulation, just might not be something that you can really go for this week. It's always the hope that you are in an environment that you can control that much, and sometimes you are not, right? So, do the best you can with what you've got, obviously. But if there was ever a week to say no thank you to too much chaos, this would be it. So you do you, but those are some thoughts on that. But again, if you're feeling uncomfortable, use it. Use that to do something creative. You will feel better. And you might create something pretty brilliant because it's a great energy for that. So, on that note, I have a few things to share. I'm here for show and tell today. I already posted some pictures in the chat room. So, if you're not in the live stream, you can still see these. If you are listening later, you can either come find the chat room or you can find this stuff over on my Etsy page. This is my Domestic Mystic store. No, I'm sorry. This is my Joyful Goddess store over on Etsy. These products are not posted there yet. They will be by the end of the week, but I had to share now. So I have a new line of charms that I'm rolling out. So this has been in my head for a bit, and I made a few before Christmas. I hadn't put them up for sale much yet. I hadn't done a lot with it. I sold a couple, but I have, I've been moving at the pace that I move. And it's not always the pace I'd like, but this is where we are. So here was my idea. I've been making orgonite for a while. The idea of suspending crystals and metals in resin to create an energy center. So people use orgonite for balancing of their spirit. They use it to help deal with EMFs from all of the electronics in your house and outside of your house. People use orgonite for a lot of different purposes. And I love orgonite. I've been pouring it for quite a while, but not as beautifully as I've got right now. But at any rate, this is something I've been working on. So I love plant magic. Plant magic has been huge for me for years. So I was thinking about the idea of combining the power of the orgonite, the stones and the metals, with a plant or a flower, and how much you could amp up the energy of a piece and create some kind of a charm. And so that's what I did. So I'm going to show you, if you're in the live stream, you'll see these. Again, there's pictures in my chat as well. So I'm going to show you one. This is a sphere. It's a small sphere. It's about a 50, I think it's a 50 millimeter, 55 millimeter. In the very bottom of it, there is brass shavings. In the center, there is chipped mookaite jasper. And then in the top of it are 3 small rosebuds. And it's, of course, suspended in resin, so it's a clear sphere. And this one is intended to be for attracting love. This is a love charm. We have the red roses, which speak of love. The mookaite jasper is all about the heart chakra. And then we have the brass tying it all together and anchoring the energy. So that was the point of this one. I absolutely love it. It's so pretty, you guys. And I know if you're in the live stream, you can see them, though I don't know if you can really get a sense of how gorgeous they are, partly because my light ring is creating a little bit of a glare. But anyway, so that's the idea behind these charms. But I didn't want to just limit myself with just love charms, right? We want to do a little bit more about that. Jane wants to know, where is Skippy right now? He's asleep on the couch with his brother. However, per always, if he starts screaming and crying at my door, his dad might just give up and bring him in here. All right, the next piece I want to show you, it's in the shape of a gem. It has a peach, or like a champagne colored rose with pink petals, like edges to the petals at the very top of it. It is filled with peach moonstone and then copper chips in the bottom. This is a heart opening I don't want to call it an orgonite. I want to call it a charm, I think. Yeah. It's a heart opening charm. So again, you'll see the rose in the top and then the stones, and then, of course, the copper holding it all together. Now, I will tell you this, these aren't done. The first one was that I showed you. These guys just came out of the mold last night. They are not polished yet. They'll be completely smooth and gorgeous, but I just had to show you today because I'm just so damn excited about them. So that's the pink one. This is a heart opening one. So if you have been feeling like it's hard to connect with others, it's hard to even consider opening your heart up to something new. If you've been through a death, a ending of something that's created a lot of grief, this would be the charm for you. And then the very last one for today is a pyramid. It's a pyramid, and in the top of it is a yellow rose, a really pretty little yellow rose. And then underneath that, you will find, if you can see it, we have a lot of glare, it's a citrine, and then under that is brass. So we have the brass that ties it all together. We have the yellow rose for the solar plexus. This is a charm for amping up your personal power and your self-esteem. And the citrine, of course, completely ties that together because that's one of citrine's biggest jobs. So this is a charm that is intended to help you to amp up your personal power and your self-esteem. If you work in a job where you feel like you get beat up on, where you feel like your personal power gets stolen from you and you don't feel like you are really able to completely assert yourself, this would be an awesome thing to stick right on your desk at work, you know? I can't guarantee you won't go to Wanda on your colleagues, but hey, maybe they have it coming. So just a teeny bit of show and tell. Of course, these will be polished, cleaned up beautifully, and they'll be over on my Etsy page here in a few days when they are ready. It takes a little time with all these resin pieces for them to finish curing and become what they need to be. But when they are, I'll share it here on Facebook so that you guys can see it. But that's what's coming. So lots of fun stuff today. Okay. Do the charms have nickel in them? Jane said, no, they don't. Nope, not these ones anyway. Okay, just taking a quick peek at the chat room. Ooh, that's true, Sid. Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. So on that note, who are you yelling for? I know. Some of you are major 49ers fans. I don't know. I have to tell you, I really like both of these teams. I'm going to just I'm just happy that they're both there. So, and let's be real. I'm there for the food. And my producer's yelling in my ear, Kansas City, over and over again. So Scott's voting for Kansas City, rooting for Kansas City. Really like Mahomes. So I'd love to see him get a W. I would actually really like to see their coach get a W too. He's a super cool guy. But what can we do, right? Some of you hate football and this means nothing to you. So we'll see. It's meant to be fun, right? It's just going to be fun. And I'm going to cook all kinds of awesome keto stuff that, it's the reason we're going. All righty. Well, anyway, let's move on. We do have plenty of ground to cover today. So I'm going to, and Mary, I know you're yelling for the Niners. She's a huge Niners fan. Yep. All right. I wanted to do some solar plexus work today. I was tempted to go back to the root chakra because I've seen some pretty good root chakra imbalances recently, but we did that last week and I kind of felt like, no, let's move on. And if you have a root chakra issue, let's talk about it and we'll work on it together. But we're going to work on the solar plexus today. So your solar plexus is the chakra right above your belly button. It is typically seen as yellow or gold. It's a bright light. This is where your personal power, your self-esteem, and your basic sense of self resides. You see me right now. I'm doing it. You probably can't, but I've got my hands clasped over my solar plexus. Body language, right? This is something we do to protect ourselves. Sometimes it's to hold our light in. If you pay attention to your body language, you'll discover that many times you have something wrapped over your solar plexus. It could be a purse or a diaper bag or your hands or something, right? A lot of times we protect our light. I have a lot of theories about that. One is simply that I think we have been groomed to dumb ourselves down. I feel like we many times in our lives have been told that we were too much. We're too loud, we're too something, we're too bossy, we're too big for somebody, right? And for that reason, someone's uncomfortable with us and they will shame us into thinking there's something wrong with us, right? We're too much. Is it true? No, you're not too much. It's more likely that they are too uncomfortable with who they are or their situation. But because of that, I think that we are taught young to start covering up our light, to start drawing it in. And that's a shame because your light is what makes you you. That is your uniqueness. That is what makes you yourself. Chris, I'll get to it. That's what makes you shine your light is who you are. You shouldn't have to dumb it down. It shouldn't have to be something that you cover up. But again, this is something that we tend to do. So we're going to work on the solar plexus today in opening it up, in shining your light a little bit brighter or a lot bit brighter, depending on who you are, and in just talking about the idea of allowing yourself to shine without having to cover that up. Blessed are those who give 0 Fs what anyone thinks of them, right? I mean, to a degree or to the fullness of it. I kind of go both ways with it sometimes because maybe we need to care a little bit what other people think of us, right? That keeps us wearing clothes in public, maybe. But overall, I'll tell you, I love it when I see the weirdest dressed person in the store. Bring on the people of Walmart, right? I don't care. I love it. I want to see people being weird and being different and being themselves. I think it's amazing. And I think we do way too much judgment and way too much of dumbing people down and not letting them shine all of their weirdness out there. If you want to be that person, fine. If you want to wear the flesh colored pants in public, do it. If you want to be the person that wears the tube top that nobody thinks has a body for wearing a tube top, I don't care. Do it. Be you. If you're comfortable, I'm comfortable, right? And maybe every once in a rare while, you ought to take yourself out of your comfort zone and let yourself be uncomfortable. What's wrong with that? Sometimes I think we need a little bit of that. Unpopular opinion, or maybe popular, I don't know. So, anyway, all of that to say that I want to work on the solar plexus today and work on amping up everybody's light. So, of course, we're going to do it with a singing bowl. This is a crystal bowl in the note of E, which is the solar plexus. So, we're going to do two things. I'm going to play the bowl. The first time I play it, I want you to focus on releasing anything in your solar plexus that no longer serves you. Cords, connections, judgments, old core beliefs. I really want you to start in utero, right? Let's start with the littlest version of you who got shut down, dumbed down, told they couldn't, told they weren't enough. Let's start there. Let's start there. Let's start in a place where you might not even remember why your light got dampened, right? When you were too cute and funny and noisy at church, when you were outshining your older sister who didn't like it and pinched you, when you talked too much in kindergarten, whatever, right? Some of you did. You know it's true. I hope you did, by God. But that's where we're going to start. So, again, I want you to just draw your energy to your solar plexus, focus there, and just hold space with me right now that this singing bowl, the frequency of it, can release anything you're carrying that no longer serves you. Anything that you are carrying that could be dumbing down your light, turning down your wattage, and keeping you small. Okay, perfect. Now, we're going to change gears, and I'm noticing in this video how dirty this bowl is. I guess that's what happens with years and years of use. I don't even know if this can be washed, but I'm going to try. Oh, well, it's what it is, right? These are just love lines. This is from use. Whatever. I'm going to play the bowl again. This time, I want you to enter deep, deep into your solar plexus. And I want you to start turning up your light, getting it brighter and brighter and brighter until it completely envelops you, totally encases you in that brightest light. It will probably be a yellow, gold, whitish light. There's no judgment. If it's a different color, more power to you. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong. I'm here to show you how to do it. Keep letting that light grow, get bigger and bigger and bigger until you are a glowing mass, okay? That's what we're doing. Some people like to, Christy always talked about using the visual of turning up, like a light that has a little dial on it, turning it up, or maybe you're flipping a switch, or maybe you are raising a frequency, or maybe you're just allowing that light to grow and get brighter and brighter. You do you. There's nothing wrong with any of those theories or something totally different. But I'm going to play the bowl so that the frequency of the singing bowl can assist you in letting that light grow and grow and grow until you are completely encapsulated in that solar plexus light. Perfect. Very, very good. Okay, so there you are. Your light, brighter than the sun now, right? So how do you keep your light like that? How do you keep yourself shining? Well, like I said, it is an art to decide that you give 0 Fs about what anyone thinks of you, right? It is an art to decide that other people's opinion of you is none of your business. It's an art to decide that other people's judgment about you or upon you is their issue, not yours. It takes some time to get there, and I think even those who have gotten there occasionally maybe take a step back because, well, the world wants to judge us. The world wants you to be insecure, especially the world of commerce. The world of commerce wants you to think you suck because if you do, you're going to buy more stuff. You are going to invest more in products, in clothing, in things, whether you like them or not, to make you something different because our world would like you to think that who you are is never good enough. And you know what? That is utter bullshit. Absolutely. You are exactly who you are supposed to be. If there are things in your world that you want to change, fine. If there are things about your body, your mind, your spirit that you want to grow upon or shrink upon, fine. There's no judgment there. But always, always take a step back and consider what your reasoning is. If your motivation is to get more healthy, fine, wonderful. If your motivation is to do something you've always wanted to do, perfect. But if your motivation at the end of the day is because you are worried about what other people will think of you, if your motivation at the end of the day is because you are uncomfortable with yourself because you don't match society's version of who a woman should be or a woman of your age should be or a whatever should be, then let's work on it because that's wrong. We were talking yesterday on 1 2 News about the quote, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Absolutely one of my favorites. And here's the thing: if you be the change you want to see in the world, then you can continue to change the world by being you, right? Just by being you, just by bringing to the table the person that you are, you can continue to be the change. It is a Gandhi quote, of course, and I think that this is one that we need to consider. It doesn't mean you have to be different per se. It only means that you have to bring you. You have to be willing to show up. You have to be willing to be yourself. That's it. You have to be willing to be seen, right? That's the point. You have to be willing to be seen. Are you? Or are you hiding out? Are you willing to speak up when something isn't right? Are you willing to let yourself out of the box? Are you willing to share your gifts with the world? Are you willing to be seen? Look, it doesn't mean that you have to be on a stage. It doesn't mean that you have to be confronting everyone who has a difference of opinion, but it does mean that you need to see yourself as a leader in this world, because you are. And too many of us have been convinced that we aren't leaders, that's not who we are. It's not what our role is. It's not who our personality is or whatever. And I call BS. We are all leaders. We are all leaders in one way or another. And when we're willing to lead, right? When we are willing to lead the charge sometimes, depending on what the topic is or what you're feeling passionate about, that's when you are the change. And that's, to me, what that solar plexus light is all about, being willing to shine it and show it and be the change. So there's my soapbox, I guess, today. Okay, well, with all of that being said, I want to take a quick look at Luminous. I don't want to spend a lot of time on that today. But as always, Luminous is the magazine that I publish with my colleagues over at one2listen.com. You can find it at Katie-Weaver and right under the Luminous magazine link. There's also a place there on my website where you can subscribe to receive Luminous once a week, and also to subscribe to receive my daily reading. So my daily reading is the Daily Dish, and it comes out every single morning at 6 a.m. my time, and it gives you just a little peek into what's going on, what you might be thinking about, what you might be working on. The Daily Dish is absolutely one of my favorites. So Jane wants to know if my arm aches after holding that bowl up for a while. Yeah, it does. In fact, that's why I sold my bigger bowls. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't hold them up. And when I would hold them, they would shake and rock, and I was worried I'd drop and break one and break my own heart. So I sold them in lieu of getting smaller bowls. All right, quick look at Luminous. So I did put a link in the chat room if you'd like to come with me. I did call this magazine the Weird is Wonderful edition because we're in a weird energy. And again, if you use it to your advantage to create, to express, it'll be great. But let yourself be weird. It's all you can do. And that's a good thing to be. So many other great things. I just wanted to show you the tip of the week. The tip of the week this week is my 5 crystals for manifesting love. And the 5 crystals known for manifesting love are rose quartz, emerald, seraphonite, chrysocolla, and rhodochrosite. Those are 5 of my favorites, and they are all stones that are well known for manifesting love, good ones to carry, to have on your person. And if you can get them in the puffed heart variety, I think, extra points for having them that way. So I did share that in the chat room with you as well. But those are all stones that are well known for manifesting love. The only other thing I wanted to draw your attention to was the very last page. There's lots of good articles, so don't miss anything. It's all new today. But the very last thing is our Reader's Corner, and Reader's Corner today has a poem and artwork by Renee Andrews. So it's a lovely little winter scene of a little cottage, and there's trees and snow and a pathway, and it's Very sweet. Looks like where I live. And the poem, the twinkle in your eye, like the twinkle of the snow, brings a smile to my face. Lovely. So thank you, Renee, so much for that. And if you guys have anything that you want to submit to Reader's Corner, just send it over to me. You can email me or send it to me on Facebook, but I love to include your work in Luminous. So that's Luminous this week. And again, if you see anything in there that you love, let me know. I love hearing from you guys. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Something just fell, just off the blue, off a shelf in my office. Maybe we've got some help today, huh? I'm guessing so. Okay. Chris wanted to know what Towanda meant. She said she used to live on Towanda Street. Well, it is the saying from fried green tomatoes. This is when she has had enough of being pushed around. It is Evelyn. It's when Evelyn has had enough of being pushed around. She's had enough of being treated like shit by the world, by her husband, by everyone else. She's just in that place in her life where she feels like nobody cares about her, that she doesn't matter. And she has had enough of feeling that way, and she gets assertive. And this is where she gets in a little dust up in the parking lot with some younger girls who steal her parking spot, and they're super rude to her. They call her fat. They're just nasty, and she's had enough. And so she slams into their car, and then she backs up and slams into it again and again and again and again and again. And she's yelling out, "To Wanda!" Because that's her phrase for stepping up, for putting on her big girl pants and standing up for herself. So it's become a phrase in my world, Chris. When you're going to Wanda on somebody, you're definitely doing what you want. If you guys have never seen fried green tomatoes, please let me recommend that you do. And if you have seen fried green tomatoes, please let me recommend that you see it again. It's just the best. That's all. Okay. Moving forward, let's take a look. Lots of reading requests today. I'm going to read for you guys today from my deck. So this is the Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move deck. I wanted to read from this deck today because I feel like we need to focus a lot this week on spiritual self-care. And that, of course, is what this deck does. It's all about spiritual self-care, all of the different aspects of spiritual self-care. So this deck has 5 different components, categories. The blue cards are grounding cards. These are all suggestions on ways you can ground yourself. And spiritual self-care, well, grounding yourself is super important. If you can't ground yourself, you can't feel normal, right? And your energy will not flow correctly if your root chakra is not in place. So it's just vital. The green cards are all about movement. This is the move part of the deck. Movement. Moving your physical body is actually really important for taking good care of your spiritual body. And I'm not saying go run a 5K or go hurt yourself. This might just be walking around the block or dancing in the living room, but don't forget, or stretching, but don't forget to move yourself at least a little bit. It's important. The yellow cards in this deck are the bless cards. Blessing yourself. There is no more powerful blessing you will ever receive than one you can give yourself. And so there's lots of suggestions in this deck for self-care that has to do with blessing yourself. And then, you know what? I got something backwards. The blue cards. Wow. Someone whose deck this is with the Psychic Sisters. I'm sorry. The blue cards are the protect cards. I had that backwards. These are the cards about protecting your spirit, protecting yourself in some way. We all need that a little bit. And especially if you live or work in places where there's a lot of chaos or heavier energies that you feel like are pulling you down, you might need some spiritual self-protection, right? So the blue cards are big suggestions on how to protect yourself. The red cards are the ground cards. Obviously, someone here needs to ground. The red cards are the ground cards. And all of the ground suggestions are ones to help you to stay more grounded and centered. And then there are some bonus cards in this deck that are boost cards. And the boost cards are cards that give you a suggestion on how to boost your energy in some way. Sometimes you just need a little extra something. And so the boost cards are intended to do just that. So I'm going to pull cards for you guys from this deck. So let's jump into the chat room. Okay. Oh, let's see. I'm glad Facebook is working. It sounds like earlier today it wasn't great. And I hate it when the chat room's not working because I want to talk to you guys. I want to see ya. Okay. Terry would like a message from one of her loved ones if possible. Okay. So not really what I'm doing with cards. This is more of a mediumship message. So Terry, let's dial into that. This is your man coming through. He's talking to you about your health. He's patting you on your hand and telling you it's going to be okay and that he's with you on the journey. He said that you feel like it's always like 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And he says he knows it is, and that he really wishes he was there to help take care of you in the physical form, but that he is there to help comfort you. He says that you ache, that your body hurts and aches, and you lay in bed and ache. And 2 things. He says he feels like you need to make sure you're staying warmer, especially at night, and that you can always ask him to try to help take some of your pain away, and that he'll do that. So he's very aware, Terry, of what's going on with you and kind of some of those fears that boil up from time to time. So he says also you can give those to him. He says, I'm a big man and I can take it. I love him. Okay. Jane said, I'd love a message if anything comes up around social media and or sugar detox. I feel like it's affecting my well-being. Yeah, definitely. I hear you. All right. Well, I'm going to just pull 2 cards for you, Jane, and that'll give us some ideas of things that you can do to support either or, right? And I know social media is pretty brutal right now. I mean, it's been really brutal for a while. Part of that, I think, is just being very choosy about who's allowed to follow you, who you follow, and what kind of things you're seeing. Like, I finally just silenced all news sites because I just cannot. And you know what I can't do? And this is my own fault. I can't not read the comments. And that is the dumbest thing you can do because they're the worst, right? And people, oh my God, the stuff people say. And that little warrioress in me gets all fired up, and it's just not good for me. I've had to really dial myself back because I just can't not look. So I silence the news sites. And now occasionally, someone will share a story with me and I'll go take a look, or something will come up, that something happens that I'm keyed in that there's something I'm interested in. But I hear you, Jane. It's been pretty brutal. So here's the things that came up. The first card I pulled was a protect card. It's the shields up card. So the picture on the card is literally a shield, like a knight in shining armor would carry. So the idea behind that, of course, is that you put up a shield to deflect negativity coming towards you. And Jane, I feel like that's something that, as far as social media is concerned, that's this part of that message, that you get up a good shield, that you stop letting people follow you that are going to be negative and snarky and uncomfortable, that you put a little barrier up around you and what you're seeing and what other people are seeing from you. Because you know what? You do not deserve to be attacked. You don't deserve, if you have people that can have logical conversations with you, we don't all have to agree. I'm not saying that at all. We don't all have to agree, but we do all have to be civil. And if you have people on social media that cannot be civil and are constantly throwing out negativity to you and being nasty, get rid of them, right? You do not need that. This is a virtual world. It doesn't mean you can't be their friend anymore or their family member, but maybe social media is not a good place for you to share, right? So shields up. Get some really good boundaries around social media. You need them. And that doesn't mean don't be on social media, Jane, because I think that you just are. It's where you spend some of your time. I don't think you should have to be chased away. I just think you need to get your boundaries up. All right, the second card, and I think this really has to do with a sugar detox. This is the red light card. This is a grounding card, okay? The idea, of course, is that you focus on your root chakra and you emanate red light, just like I taught you to do just now with the solar plexus and emanating the yellow light. This is emanating red light from your root all the way around you and encapsulating yourself in it to set your ground really, really powerfully. When you are detoxing from sugar, you can become pretty ungrounded. It is a drug, it is an addiction, and it feels that way when you're detoxing. You're as cranky and crabby as if you're quitting smoking. It's hard. A couple of thoughts for you. One is electrolytes. Getting electrolytes really, really helps for some reason. It helps to keep your body in balance, and it helps. The other piece of that is I make a spray. I'm going to see if I can find the postcard and I'll share it with you guys. But I make a grounding spray that I think would be really helpful for you right now, Jane. What it is it is just a small spray bottle, and you add some sea salt to it and a dark stone if you can. If you can fit it in the bottle, that's always a challenge. But that you put into the bottle, and then some oils that are grounding. Frankincense, sandalwood, vetiver, and usually tree resin oils are good grounds. You shake that all up, and you actually use that to ground your aura. So especially in the afternoons, and this isn't just for people going through a sugar withdrawal, this is people in general. If you feel like you get ungrounded in the afternoons, that's because you're an empath and you're probably taking one hit after another, from the universe. You get ungrounded in the afternoons. And if you get ungrounded in the afternoons, that is a time where you will start wanting to reach for food, for a cigarette, for chocolate, for carbs especially, because you're ungrounded. And so make sure that you're doing the work to stay grounded so that you can feel straightened out, right? All right, so there you go, Jane. And I did post that postcard in the chat room about how to make the grounding spray, but it's easy enough, right? Water, sea salt, a dark stone, and some grounding oils. Make sure that you don't ever spray that in your eyes because that would suck. Okay, jumping back to the chat room. Julia, thank you so much for clearing for the clearing. 2 weeks ago, not only was my blood sugar back to normal within 2 days, but my local energy helped notice that my apartment was much clearer. Good. If you are reading today, I would love a scan. You are so good at what you do. Thank you, Julia. Well, let's pull you a card first, and then we'll use that as our guide to give you a scan, right? Okay. All right, let's just pull a card for you. Okay, it is the tree. This is a grounding card. The suggestion of grounding with a tree is that you literally hug a tree. You go and sit with your back against a tree or put your arms around a tree. A house plant, if going outside, is just a complete no. But when you do that, just allow the frequency of your spirit, allow your root chakra to slip deep, deep down into the earth and intermingle with the roots of the tree. That is a really powerful way to just give yourself a good grounding. And trees, they've got it figured out, right? They have those roots. So they're more than happy to share that space with you. So that makes me think then, Julia, that I really do want to take a look at your root chakra. So let's do that. Way better than it was, right? But I am going to just balance your root a little bit more and send it a little deeper into the earth. I feel like the new moon shook you up a little bit. And again, you're way more grounded and centered than you were last time we looked, but you can always feel a little bit better, right? Especially in this kind of weird, uncomfortable energy we're in. Julia, this is, I talked earlier about this being a super creative time for people. That so resounds for you. Definitely be doing some creating this week in whatever capacity you want to. And don't you dare get wrapped up in perfectionism, right? You can make something awful and throw it in the garbage. I don't care, right? It doesn't matter. It's about using your hands. It's about being creative and allowing yourself to do so. Okay. All righty. Let's just pull one more general card for everybody, or two. Let's pull a couple of thoughts on what we can do this week to just continue to take great care of our spirits. since we're getting down to the end of the show. Oh, how funny. Okay, so the first card is a boost card. It is the meditate card. This card said, your brain is running at hyper speed and it's time to slow down and focus. Give yourself 10 minutes of meditation time daily to stop the madness. Doesn't have to be a lot, but let's all just double down this week on making sure you get some daily meditation time. And then the other card is actually the red light. So we talked about this, but that's a good message for everyone. Focusing on that root, go back into your root, take yourself through the same exercise we did earlier in turning up your wattage around your solar plexus, and surround yourself in that red light to just set that ground in a really powerful way so that your energy is flowing beautifully, so that you can feel good and do what you want to do. All right. If you had ever considered purchasing this deck, I'm going to give you a link where you can buy it. It comes straight from the company that produces them. It's makeplayingcards.com under me, Katie Weaver. I'm going to put a link in the chat room. You can find a link too over at katie-weaver.com. And you can find the book. There is a book that goes along with this deck, an ebook, or you can buy it as a paperback over at Amazon. And it's, of course, the Ground, Bless, Protect, and Move deck. So if you are interested in purchasing the deck, that's how you would do so. All right, we have done it. Don't forget tomorrow, the big divination show. It's going to be a ton of fun. Way excited about it, and I really hope you guys can join me for it. And as always, then, of course, join me for the long road with Kai Greenway, and then I'll see you on Thursday with Strange Phenomena and Mystery. So many great things. So, guys, thanks for being here. You've been listening to The Katie Weaver Show here on 1-2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.